All right, I want to try to show the true history of Islam. I'm using Google Earth. I've already pulled up. So I'm showing the layers of maps that of the real history of what was going on the globe in the globe at the time. This Arian Christian kingdom of the Vandals or the Andalusians came up through Spain and across North Africa, and they were down in here, coming in toward Egypt in the by the fourth 400 to 500 AD. From 400 to 500 AD, they were um, Arians were all around this area. They were all monotheistic Christians, non-Trinitarian Christians. And when the Byzantine Empire started spreading out, they started to um, enforce this as the true Christian doctrine, the true doctrine of the empire, the Byzantine Empire, and they began to divide the Roman Empire up, like to attack the original sons of sons of Constantine were Arian Christians, and Constantine on his deathbed became an Arian Christian. So I mean, people say he was a Roman pagan originally. He might have been, but he had a change of heart. His family members were Christian, followers of Isa. They started to follow Arian beliefs in the original faith, and they at some time during that, about 354 A.D., Arian monks were sent all the way down to Arabia, to Himyar, to this area right here. So Arianism was spreading out for over 100 years. Um, Arianism was spreading out here from 354 about 350 AD to um, 492 AD. So for 140 years, it's spreading all throughout this area. It's fully flourishing in this area, and these people start getting persecuted around that same time. For 450 AD, the Trinity doctrine starts being enforced all around this area, um, and people having to probably migrate out from these areas because they couldn't be part of the church anymore. So you have all these people that are like trying to find the truth, the true doctrine, and living all around this region, and you also have Aryans all throughout North Africa. All Aryans are all over this area, Aryan Christians, and also obviously in southern Egypt as well. There's Aryans throughout this area. So it's the Byzantine Church, that's the Byzantine Empire, that's forcing that particular doctrine of Trinitarianism that you see, and their version of the church is being forced on the empire. So any other version of Christianity is being seen as unorthodox or whatever. So they are attacking and pushing these people out from the region. So you can see the Byzantine Empire was like spreading out throughout here, throughout parts of where Islam was later going to take hold. So you got the Prophet Muhammad coming here and living here in Jordan, and he starts to recite the Quran. This is the same place where Moses was at. So it's the prophet like Moses being raised up by the Spirit of the Lord coming upon him, and he's dictating the Quran here, and this is in about 492 A.D. So as you can see, this is happening. This war is happening in about 518. So just 18 years later, so Muhammad sends all these people start to follow him. These Aryan Christians start following him, and other people start to believe in him and follow him. And many of them had to go to Abyssinia down here to talk to the king of Abyssinia because they were being persecuted up in Petra, in that area. So they all came here and were spreading out and gaining converts, telling the king of Abyssinia believed Muhammad was a prophet. They convinced the king of Abyssinia that he was a prophet, and the people all around Yemen, these Aryans that were already here, came to believe he was a prophet. In other words, they were already Aryan Christians. They already believed in monotheism. They already believed in Allah. They already believed in God was called Rahman. They're the Muslims that follow Jesus. The Aryan sect would have been people that would have called themselves most likely Muslims in that language, and Hanifa. So Muhammad's wife is an Aryan Judeo-Christian woman. His mother was apparently a Judeo-Christian. I believe she was Jewish, and that's all being covered up. So this is the true story happening from 500 to, maybe 650 AD. So a period of about 150 years, the real Islam was spreading out throughout the Persian Empire. The Persian king died as a Muslim. He accepted Muhammad as a prophet because of all the signs, like the Zoroastrian flame going out, and stuff like that. There was things happening around that time. And then the as they spread out throughout, they would have spread through Egypt. This kingdom became the kingdom of Muhammad, the Himyarite kingdom. Abraha became the head of the state, and he announced Muhammad king of this entire state. And they stopped trading with the Aksumite king that later came in, because he was siding with the Byzantine Empire, was coming down here trying to make a deal, and he said no. Abraha totally cut them off, and they started to expand across Egypt. All of this essentially became Muslim for a very long time. This became Muslims as well. So all of this area was Muslims, was the early followers of Muhammad. Jewish and Christian, Aryan Christians, Jewish Christians, Arabs that would have believed in Arianism. They believed in monotheism of God. They weren't interpreting Christianity as Trinitarian, as the Trinitarian doctrine. So they rejected the Trinity doctrine from the Byzantine Empire. And these people would get ultimately lost a lot of land to the Muslims. So the Byzantine Empire ended up losing to the Muslims throughout this area. That's why it's all mostly Muslim today. And then Arianism would have gone all the way up. Islamic Arianism would have gone all the way up here. So we see the same time period. 511 AD. Clovis begins. So Islam is coming up into here as early as 500 to 551 AD. And this has all been covered up and erased. This is erased history that's been removed. The Aryan followers of Muhammad coming through Visigothic Spain and totally converting this whole kingdom to Islam. And I believe this as well. So from about 550 to 700 AD, this was all Muslim, including all of this land. They were Muslims. They were the original Muslims, the Christian Muslims. So as they conquered these people, they removed the true history of Islam. They demonized Muhammad. They needed to have a way to demonize the Prophet Muhammad. So you can see, right? We're showing the Frankish kingdom now. Now the Frankish kingdom is taking over that land, pushing out those Aryan Christians, saying you have to be part of the Frankish kingdom. You have to be a part of our empire. We define what Christianity is. You can't be an Aryan anymore. You can't be a Muslim. You can't be a Aryan Muslim following Muhammad. So they rewrite this history. They corrupt and pervert Islam, and they twist the doctrine of Islam by funding the Abbasid Caliphate. So these people are going to then fund the Abbasid Caliphate to develop its own false doctrines to a false prophet, a demonic possessed person who twisted and started his own sect at Mecca about 100 years after this. You're looking at 80 to 150 years. This is all going on, and the whole world doesn't even realize what's really going on. The false, this sect is going here at Mecca, is going to then take over here all of this area, forcing their version of Islam, Sunni Islam, and then they're going to start to take over this area, and they start to push out this forced, false version of Islam, this extreme, twisted version that does not believe in the. They deny the crucifixion of Jesus. They're denying that Jesus is the chosen Son of God. Things that are in the Quran, they're trying to twist, remove, redact things from the Quran by adding the Sunnah. And those are all kinds of doctrines of Sunniism that have corrupted Islam. And that was being forced on these people. There was a lot of persecution going on. There was underground Arian Christian sects that were probably had to go in hiding, and they remained in Spain for hundreds of years after this. They would remain in Spain. As you could see, this was a strong Arian presence in the Visigothic kingdom and the Andalusian kingdom. These were very strongly Arian people, Arian Christians. And when they followed Muhammad, they continued to be Arian Christians. That's the fact. And so they had a debate with these people. They had a council, and this kingdom, they began to persecute these people and take over by physical warfare and violence, physical control and warfare. And that's also what I believe happened in England as well. Up here in England, there's signs of Anglo-Saxon Islamic coins they were Arian Christian Muslims in England, in Anglo-Saxon England, and then that got taken over later, around the 10th century, where they burned down much of the history. They burned much of the history up, removed their stories and relics and buildings. I believe they were Arian Muslims. Arian Islam had come all the way up through here, as we can see. So that's what actually went on, and I believe during that, we can see here that the prophecies in the Book of Mormon show that this culture there was Jewish Christians living up in here around these lakes, around the Great Lakes, and in 420 AD they would have buried the plates of Mormon in the hill of Cumorah, and something is going on across the water, I believe. So I believe that contact is being made, pre-Columbian contact of these Muslims, these Arian Christian Muslims may have been coming through this area, bringing Islam into these regions where they're accepting this Christian version of Islam. And then it could be that they're later being wiped out and purged, and that's all. Again, as they take over these areas, you think they're going to tell the people the real history? That they're going to they wipe these people out and erase and then rewrite the history. This is a known tactic. I mean, this is what they've done for a long time. So this is it's a rewriting of history, an erasing of the true prophet Muhammad from history, from the historical record, and demonization of the prophet, total mockery of the prophet. The Sunnah is full of mockery of Muhammad. I mean, sick, warped, weird stuff that is insane. From the false prophet that took over at Mecca and Kufa, Iraq. So then the Book of Mormon gets brought forth, and then the text is being corrupted. The text is on plates, and then that's being corrupted by multiple people are translating those plates for Joseph Smith through his speaking it, and then they're transcribing it down. And you have multiple different kind of theology. You can see multiple different translations happening within the text, theological lenses of like King James English being written into it, which it can't be that was in King James English. I mean, the original text could not have been in King James English. It's just a fact. I mean, it was in a form of Hebrew. It says an Egyptian form of Hebrew. So I believe the entire Book of Mormon, the plates originally predicted all of this information, predicted the coming of the Prophet Muhammad and the original Quran and the original civilization of Islam, their arrival in the New World. Before Columbus, Muslims were coming across the water, Aryan Christian Muslims in North Africa, Algeria, Tunisia, over here. They're crossing the seas, and then the Spanish Empire taking over all these lands and possibly killing. There was wars going on through here and stuff, killing all those people off, erasing their records, their history, um, secretly erasing all of this. People that were not, you know, not able to defend and protect their families and their history, and that's all on the plates. All of it's recorded on the plates, and buried up here in the Hill of Cumorah, and then that all got, they also got wiped out early on. So something came through and wiped them out. There was a global cataclysm in 536 AD, shortly after all of this happened, and a lot of these people could have gotten wiped out by famine and by the cataclysm of a volcano happening and the earth going dark for a few days, and there was ash throughout the skies. I don't know if this is documented in the Book of Mormon, because that would have been about 100 years after the plates were buried in the Hill of Cumorah. But the famine would have probably killed a lot of these people off. A lot of them would have dwindled down because of the famine. Several years, apparently, of famine that could have happened from this cataclysm. So yeah, that's the true accounting of the events, and that's all revealed in the Book of Mormon. So everything God's been showing me over the last two and a half years, and then over these last 2 months, it's just amplified and intensified to show that it's all bound within the Book of Mormon, the prophecies in the Book of Mormon being revealed.